So,
Okay.
welcome to the February 15th, 2023 meeting of Parks, Trees, and Trails Advisory Committee with the City of Lebanon. Calling this meeting to order. First piece is approval of the minutes of the January 18th meeting.
I approve the minutes for 18th meeting.
Okay, we've got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I didn't think so. Okay, and we were going to welcome new committee member Cindy Kirby, but she is not able to be here today. Is that what I understand, right?
That's correct.
So we'll welcome her next time. I hear that they're still looking for committee members. So if you know somebody that's interested and has a background in an area that could be helpful, that would be good. So next piece is discussion on potential tree removals, and that's Public Works, and here he comes.
Can everybody hear me? Welcome, or thank you for having me. If you don't know, I'm Jason Rush, the Public Works Operations Manager. Here to discuss the removals.
I don't know how to get
We
the
attach
volume.
pictures. There's 3 right at the moment that we have on our schedule. 2121 Maple Street, 1000 or 1001 Robbins Way, and 557 Tangent Street. Pictures attached. Do you guys have any questions on those? I'm happy to answer them.
Those ones on
So it's all complaint driven, and then the homeowners get a hold of us. So we have a program for homeowners that will actually go in, remove the tree, remove the stump, and then pull the pieces of the sidewalk that's damaged. Then they have to get the sidewalk replaced by a certified contractor.
That's the homeowner's responsibility.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot more places that's much worse.
Yeah, so it's kind of complaint driven, and if the homeowners have the issue, then they can get a hold of us. We don't go around looking for these, so like you say, there's plenty of places.
Would you pull the mic a little bit closer?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's watching and the live stream and texted and said they can't hear you very well. So
Yeah, there's plenty of places around town that have worse sidewalks, but
You're not close enough to the
that better?
mic.
that's better.
Oh, it must have went off on me. So,
Okay.
yeah, we don't go around looking for them. It's everything that comes to us, and we evaluate them on a case-by-case basis and go from there. So,
Any thoughts or concerns on those? The one on Robbins looks like it has damage on the one side anyway, doesn't it?
yeah, so that one was actually complaint driven right before Halloween, and we went and fixed the sidewalk as best we could. Because I don't know if you guys have been in that neighborhood during Halloween, but it's really busy, and we didn't want anybody, tripping and falling for that. So we did everything we could to get that sidewalk fixed for that, the Halloween, season. And then it's just been kind of sitting on the back burner while we did, other things, but we're coming up to that season to get it out of there. So.
I had a question, if that's okay. The one that is on Tangent is a ginormous tree,
Yes.
fitting in about 3 inches of parking strip, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the highway, is that going to be more challenging? Is that going to do traffic diversion when it's time to take that out?
Yeah, it's going to be extremely challenging. So that one's been on our radar for about 2 months, and we've been working through everything that's going to take. So it's going to take a lot of specialized equipment and an ODOT permit, and we'll have to flag Tangent Street. So when we're actually doing the picks, because we'll have to get a crane in there, we'll have to shut the road down for a certain amount of time and then flag one lane.
And like the curb is all smashed up, so is the street surface also damaged?
So the curb and the street surface are damaged, and that will be the city's responsibility to repair once we have the stump out of there. And then the sidewalk will be the homeowner's responsibility.
Okay.
And they're already on board and they have a contractor already ready and waiting as soon as we get it taken care of to come in and re-pour that. So,
And you're just notifying us, wanting any comments? Is that where you're at on it?
comments and input, just to kind of give you guys a heads up of what we're doing around town for the street trees. So,
I will note, personal observation, they were replacing the trees they took out on Maple Street that I highlighted last meeting.
Mhm.
Were being replaced this morning, so.
Yep.
Got to watch a couple of new trees being put in, so thank you.
Any comments?
I'm surprised the first fur went that long before somebody said something. I think it's huge.
yeah, it's a large tree and that's kind of part of the reason why now we have, rules on what kind of tree you can put into a park strip, and firs aren't a good one. So,
Good luck with that stump.
yeah, it'll be challenging for sure. So,
Okay, I don't think there's any concern. I don't have any concern on those. That, I think that's even though a couple of them, the rays and stuff isn't too bad yet, it's just going to get worse. So
yeah,
that's-
there's not really any way around it. It's kind of odd when you drive down that street. Some trees, sidewalk's really bad, and other trees, it's perfect. So it's kind of hit or miss on what they're going to do to the sidewalk.
I would
So,
suspect you said 2006 was when Mayfly and some of those were in. I suspect you're going to have more problems in
yeah,
time.
and it kind of comes in waves. Once one homeowner knows about the project or the program, other homeowners in the area will get a hold of us, and we'll have one neighborhood that we do 3, 4, 5, and then it'll kind of go away. So,
Okay, the next item was tree trimming damage, and that was, I think, yours too, right, Jason?
yep. So you guys have the email in the packet with the tree trimming damage. So we've talked with our crews, and there's really no excuse for it. It was bad tree work. We've talked with them. We've done some more training, and then on the last couple pages of the packet, it shows the door hanger that we put out when we go to do tree trimming. What we've been doing in the past is taking the trims back to the trunk and kind of making it to where it was better for us, so that we didn't have to go back year after year and do the same cut, right at the curb line. But after this, we've kind of reevaluated that, and we're just going to be doing bare minimum of what our ordinance says. So we have probably about 1,000 trees that we do every year. We put out about 1,000 door hangers. And our guys are just trying to get through it in a timely manner and be efficient, but there really wasn't any excuse for the damage to those trees. So it's been.
And that was just a few trees, right? Just before this meeting, I went and drove the East Oak, where you guys had worked over there, and I didn't see a lot of
Yeah,
poorly.
like I say, we have most of the guys on the crew are pretty experienced, but we do have a couple new ones. I don't know exactly who did it. We didn't, single them out, but like I say, it's been remedied and they've been trained, and we hope that it doesn't happen again.
Great.
So,
Any comments,
Was
concerns?
the hanger given to, did these people get a hanger? Did these citizens get a hanger before you went and did that?
yes, I believe so. So our philosophy on the door hangers is I've told my guys to put a door hanger on every door. I don't care if the tree's, 2 foot tall and the size of a pencil, because I'd rather get more door hangers out there so that people know what's going on. Maybe even if we aren't going to touch their tree, when we're in the area, then they would know what we're doing. So they door hang a lot of trees that they even know that we're not going to touch. And this year, I don't believe I've had any calls on people that we've trimmed their tree that we didn't door hang. So we have in years past.
I did go
but-
down and see these, and yeah, it's a little shady. I'll tell you, a little bad, but it's not quite to scale. It's what really happened there. I walked through, there was only a couple trees and they're pretty small, and this kind of makes them look bigger than they are, but
Mhm.
I'm glad you've addressed it.
Yeah.
We've heard from this lady came to city council too.
That was my impression too. It looked like the very worst they could find, whoever took the
Yeah.
pictures could find.
Like you say, that we shouldn't ever do that. So,
Right.
it's been dealt with on our end, and it shouldn't happen again. So,
Thank you, Jason.
all right. You guys
Thanks.
have any more questions, or?
I'm good.
All right.
I think we're good.
Thank you, guys.
Next item is the park bench policy. And I had some communication with a member of BLT that is, I think what they're looking for, and it's a city decision, trying to get some consistency on benches along the walkways and stuff. Are you guys going to talk about that in the BLT part of that?
Little,
A little about that?
but we pretty much did last time.
Yeah, we did, I think. And the question is, do we, as a city, want a uniformity, or is there room for difference? I think the example that was given is out on the, I want to say, it's where all the ducks do their thing. Out on the thing where the point where there's not a lot of people, was a bench put in recently that it was just a basic no back wooden kind of bench. And to me, that's a city, a city decision, but any thoughts or comments on that? And I think BLT, because they have some benches and stuff, certainly would want to be involved in that conversation.
Like consistency on the trails and the concrete to butt up against the trail and have space on each side so wheelchair accessible.
And I think that's a good,
Our benches, we got approval to put more benches in and we ordered more
right.
benches. And they're easy to clean and there's replacement parts, which is a real positive thing with our benches.
Yeah. I think the other part of that, communication was that try to get them where you can get wheelchair access to the ones that make sense on the path. The one that's out where the ducks go, there's no, it's just gravel out to there.
That was put in, if it's on the thumb,
I think that's what you
yeah,
call it.
that was put in by a Boy Scout and I don't know. That was probably approved by the city or I don't know. Not
I
sure.
would imagine, so. Oh,
Yeah, if
Rod,
I may?
yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
go
you.
for it.
Yeah, and I think really what we were looking for is just to have some consistency in installation, not necessarily saying that there couldn't be other benches put in. It was more about access to the trail from the benches that were put in close to an existing trail.
Okay, so it's mostly about access. Is that to make it so they're wheelchair accessible or accessible to whoever needed it? Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that? Sure. If you want to come forward, we'll do that. Okay, you want to state your name and
Yeah, I'm Thad Nelson. I'm a retired physician here in Lebanon and board member of Build Lebanon Trails. The issue we've run into is we try to put a bench at least every 1,000 feet on the trails. And as a person who's partially handicapped myself, and knowing how many elderly people and people with walkers and so forth use the benches, we think it's important that the benches have backs on them, but that's not for us to decide.
right.
There are 3 benches that have been put in the last 4 years out at Cheetah Lake, 2 on the end of the thumb, and 1 on the end of the third finger, which are what I would call locker room benches. They don't have a concrete pad. There's all sorts of blackberries and stuff that grow up under them and things, and they're way out on the end of the finger, so it's a long way for people to walk, and they need to sit down, and some of them at least need a back to lean against. And I'm not wanting those benches taken out, but the 2 at the end of the thumb have really made it so we can't put one of our benches out there. It would be crowded with benches. But the other thing is not only the backs, but there was the last bench that was put in on a trail is in River Park, and it was about a year ago, and it's a beautiful bench. It's a commercial, must have cost at least $1,600 just for the bench, but it was mounted like 8 feet from the trail. There's a 4-inch drop off the edge of the trail, and then it slopes down to this bench that's got a a bench pad that's maybe 2 feet wide and the length of the bench. And it's really hazardous for somebody who has braces like I do, or somebody in a wheelchair, to get off the trail and get to that bench and transfer onto the bench. Same's true of, somebody with a walker, for example. And it's a wonderful bench. It's just the way it was installed is not conducive to being used by people who have handicap. That's all. And we don't have to have a standard. I just wanted you to be aware that BLT has copied what the city used to do out at Cheetah Lake. We copied their bench pads and how they installed them, and there are some that have been installed in the last few years that don't meet up to what we think is the best standard.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. So I think what they're asking is asking the city to take that into consideration when you do bench. Any, Ron or Jason, do you have any comments on that, or? No, okay.
I'll just say, we'll look at it and see if we can get you an update at the next meeting.
Okay, perfect. It's good. I mean, it really is good to get different sets of eyes looking at things for different reasons. So I think that's good, and it's well appreciated that some of the BLT folks really are looking at those trails, seeing what's the best we can do, not just to get by, but to think of all that. So that's great. Thank you. Speaking of BLT, next thing on the agenda, we're just rolling through today. BLT update. Rod, is that you?
Well, it'd be nice if Jan could do it. I'm challenged here for the paperwork. I have something in front of me that I could do it if I have to, but.
You want to do it, Jan?
Can you
do
take
it? Perfect. Thank you.
I'll go.
You may want to pull the mic a little closer too.
Can you hear me, Rod?
Yes.
Okay, you can chime in anytime. First, we'd like to thank the city for all the work they did out at Cheetah Lake. There's been comments about, I have a friend that takes his little kid in a stroller, and now she can really see the ducks on the lake and so forth. And they shored up some of the sides of we call it land bridge, with gravel, and cleared out a lot of the old blackberry bushes and cut down some diseased trees. And it really looks nice. I'm sure there'll be other comments of habitat and so forth like there was the last time you did it, but we as BLT think it looks great. And also just got BLT got a waiver today of no charge and approval of Cheetah Lake Park for our annual event on May 6th. So thank you for that. If the fees were not waived, we would not be able to probably do our activity out there because it would be too expensive. We're a pretty low budget item, and we try to do it as most economical as we can because all our profits go to trails. And also they repaired some of the the hole. They filled the hole and also repaired the asphalt on the North Shore Trail, and it looks a lot better. I don't know if were you involved in that, Ron or Jason? Or yeah, it looks better. And is this kind of a trial we're going to do to see if it's?
Yeah, we're trying different things.
Okay, thanks a lot, because it would be really expensive to put a whole new trail in there, almost impossible as far as our finances with Build Lebanon Trails are. Thad had talked to Jody and Jason and approved 3 bench sites on the Mark Slough Trail. And we're very fortunate. There are so many volunteers and excellent volunteers and expertise with Build Lebanon Trails. And we have someone that has volunteered to dig the bench pads, and then Breezy Contractor Concrete, he gives us really a good deal on putting in the bench pads. So that's in the works so far, and we really appreciate everybody's response and donations on that part. The West River Trail extension, which is on the other side of River Park, Rod applied for the Recreational Trails Program grant in November, and there's a presentation in Salem, March 7th through the 9th. The time is to be determined, but he would like some support there too. Build Lebanon Trails, we like to wear our blue shirts. I don't have one on today. Thad has one on, but it's not a Build Lebanon Trails shirt. We're also trying to acquire some property on the other side of River Park where that West River Trail will end through to Bromell Street. And we've found that that is owned by Georgia Pacific. And Joanne has been diligently trying to get access to that. And I don't know if you want to comment, Joanne, on what the latest is on that. Don't mean to put you on the spot, Joanne.
So I had tried to go through the grant process with Koch brothers, Koch Industries. And when I went to fill out the final application, Oregon wasn't even on their list. So I just thought that was very strange.
Georgia Pacific.
Yeah, so I ended up calling the different plants here in Oregon, just thinking maybe somebody knows something. And I got lucky and I got hold of the controller at the Halsey, Georgia Pacific plant. And I told her what I wanted and she said, that's a great project. She said, I'm going to help you. So that's kind of where we are. I've contacted her once since and she just says, I'm going to reach out again. So she's trying to get hold of somebody. So anyway, we're trying to get this land for the trail. We're working on it.
Thanks,
Good.
Joanne.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, I think a lot of the people that use the trails think they just kind of fall out of the sky or something. They don't realize all, you know, the easements, the purchasing, the grants, the private donors that are involved in doing this. So we'd like some shovel-ready projects with design and cost estimates. And, you know, Rod is just always on looking for grants and trying to have shovel-ready projects to have the next trail or 2 or 3 on the table. And we talked about some last time at River View Park. And one of them was a ramp on the south bank and then graveling the existing trail that's down, makes a loop down by the river, and then armoring the riverbank. And we just wonder what progress has been since that.
Do you know, Nancy?
I don't think we've made any progress on those with other things that we're working on. Is that, I'm looking at Ron. I would say it would be truly helpful for staff if BLT would give us priorities. We do not have the bench to do design and cost estimates on all of these.
Mhm.
So we really need to know the number 1 priority, 2
Okay.
and 3, so that we can focus staff and staff work efforts on the things that are most important. That I guess whether it's the grant that's most likely or the next project in the link that you want to make, because otherwise I'm asking staff to go 17 directions, and we do have many other, we've got sewer line failures and water line failures and streets that we're repairing, and I can't keep bouncing staff back and forth. So if you gave us like a 1, 2, 3 priority, and then here's the wait list of things coming, that would be really helpful.
Okay, because I know some of these grants are due like March 15th, and I'm not sure that's one that we'll do. Rod, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I think, Nancy, that's no problem. I think we can get together as a board at our next board meeting and give you some guidance, but we'd really like also to say, meet with Ron and find out, look at the list and just find out what's the most feasible for everybody, rather than us. I mean, we can prioritize them, but we really want staff's input.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah, update on the Gills Trail, landing trail improvements.
Is there an update on the Gills line? Are you asking if there's an update on that
Uh-huh.
one? Is there an update on that one? Yeah,
We'll look for Ron to see where he is on that.
So a couple things we should probably talk about. Right now, we're working on 4 different trail segments. So to add more to that, we don't have the step depth, as Nancy was saying. We're working on Gills Landing. They're getting a survey done on that. We've got the West River Trail that Rod applied for. We're working on the Airport Road multi-use path with PP&L and our design team there. And then we're also working on the South Shore Trail. So that's 4 this year. I don't have any depth to do any more than that, and we're having to use consultants as it is. So that kind of covers that. The Gills Landing, as soon as we get a little more detail from Udell Engineering, they do have a majority of the survey done. We'll get a preliminary done so you can get a cost estimate on it. So that's our next step in that
Yeah.
process.
That might be a priority. What do you think, Rod?
Yeah, thank you, Ron. And it is a record year to have that many projects trail projects slated at the same time. So we do understand the issues, and we understand you might not be able to get to shovel ready for a while. It's just something we want to keep on the table to discuss and not to put more pressure on staff. That's not the intent. So thank you for everything you've been doing.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, I'll throw in that Dewey Street one too.
Dewey Street.
Behind Les Schwab. When you're going to redo the South Main.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
That's
Yes,
really on the back burner, right?
Yeah, that's all hinges on ODOT, and when they come together with, they're scoping that project right now. So I don't even have an update on that.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then
thank you, Ron.
Bill Lebanon Trails offered a seasonal trail maintenance worker we've told folks that we will do $20,000 a year for a seasonal worker for 4 years. And we got a letter from you. So that's all approved. Is that letter
I'm gonna say It's
agreement?
officially not approved until the budget's adopted, but the
Okay.
expectation is that the proposed budget will include the funding and the staffing for that. I do have the letters, and they are written as an agreement, but they weren't signed by anybody from BLT, so I didn't know if you were waiting for me to sign first and then you sign and send me back, or if you were going to sign and then
Oh.
kind of a final letter for me to sign and agreeing to those donations. So
Yeah. And also,
I was hoping Rod was going to be here today and I could have brought my copies and we could have both signed them maybe,
okay.
but
He'll be back in a couple weeks, right, Rod? Rod?
Yeah, that's right. And so, yeah, we'll get together and sign those. We wanted to give you a chance to review them to see if you had comments and wanted to change them in any way before we signed.
nope, I don't need to change anything on them.
Okay, and the Beaton Lane Trail Improvement, we offered 20,000 on that.
Right.
Okay, probably same thing there. So other topics, Senator Merkley, not to get into politics, but he recognized Bill Lebanon Trails as one of the major nonprofits in the area, and he that made a difference. And a couple of our BLT volunteers went over to LBCC to a town hall meeting on Saturday, and one of our people were able to give a little spiel, 3-minute spiel on Bill Lebanon Trails, and she did a very good job. And then he gave us a flag that has been flown over the U.S. Capitol. So the whole thing was very nice, and we got publicity of Bill Lebanon Trails. We always report on the wipeouts. That's the group that gets graffiti off the trail, the benches, and now, guess what? It's the trees. We've had 2 trees now tagged. And so since our last meeting, I'm just going to report on, we've had about 37 cleanups since April. And we had very few prior to that. And I don't know, maybe the city cleaned them up before we took over cleaning them up, and you gave us that good removal stuff. But now, like I said, they're hitting trees. So we've had 5 cleanups since our last meeting, which is less than we have in the summer, but still too much. We're also doing April 22nd. We're going to do Earth Day and do volunteer projects of like putting bark mulch around trees in 3 of the parks. And the city is working with us and supplying the bark mulch and so forth. And we have a lot of volunteers, including Linco Federal Credit Union, which has really come on board to be volunteering for our work party days. So Rod, do you want to take over for the ARP grants and so forth?
Is my audio okay? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. We can't see you, but that's okay.
Okay, because you're pretty broken up. So it's just the AARP is an opportunity that actually Deb Fell Carlson from Live Longer Lebanon let me know about. And it's a wonderful project, grant opportunity, but it's really quick turnaround. In fact, it's March 15th for application and November for completion of the project. So I don't think we're going to be able to do anything this year, but for future years, if we had a project, again, the shovel-ready projects like paving the third finger or simple projects to design, we could apply for this grant. When I read through and looked at their seminars, read through their information, they specifically state trails and pedestrian crossings and trail improvements as what they award a lot of the grants for. And we're talking 10 to 20,000. So really a good opportunity for us that we need to be considering for future years. Like Ron said, there's a lot on the plate right now and not really enough time to take advantage of it this year, but just something else to keep in mind for future.
Rod, can I interrupt for a second? I just want to clarify that this is right. The note says it's an AARP, so that's the American Association of Retired People and not an ARPA.
Yeah.
Because I thought maybe it was an ARPA grant that was coming from the federal government as opposed to AARP, which would not have presumably some of the federal government strings. Is it AARP, the Retired People Group?
It is AARP, and
Okay.
really that's they have a lot less strings, and I think it's a fairly easy grant application and quick award, and then they want the projects done right away. So
Okay,
thank you
that's
for
helpful.
asking.
Thank you.
And I think we've
Anything
already
else?
discussed the other grants that are available, and that the city and also BLT are taking full advantage of as appropriate for this year or as we can. So I think that pretty well covers the grants. Unless there's
Thank you.
questions.
Anything else on the BLT report or any questions?
Rod, do you have anything else?
Nope. I do have something for the good of the order at the end. I have a question. May I ask it now?
Why don't you ask it now?
So we were talking before about the openings for the parks representatives, and I know Cindy Kirby was one, and then we had another candidate that I never heard anything about the other candidate that we had proved. And then there was a question on Cindy Kirby's home address being within the city limits. So did we check into that? Do we have an update?
I did check into that. Ms. Kirby does live within the city limits. Mr. Calderon was the other applicant, and he actually lives in Foster. He owns a house in Lebanon, but he lives in Foster, and so he was not included.
Thank you.
How are we trying to get more applicants?
We advertise them on our Facebook page and on our web page. There's not a lot of other ways to do that. And then word of mouth, people who know someone who might be interested.
Okay.
And what piece of the expertise are we most interested in right now?
So we have the second parks enthusiast position and Jennifer's position, I believe she was a trails enthusiast there, not trees. So those would be the two that are open right now.
Okay, thank you. Did that answer your question, Rod?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, very good. Appreciate what BLT does, and it is, yeah, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint because there's so much that comes up, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are working well with the city on that, and the expectation is we'll get there when we have the ability to do that. So I appreciate that. I think we're at public comments now. Is there any public comments? Okay, why don't you come on up so we can get you on, so we can record you. How about that? And give us your name and then go from there.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheryl Castine. I've been the volunteer manager for Porter Park Community Garden since it opened. And it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. In fact, Sierra sent me a name today, and I wanted you to know that Becca is the manager of one of the Corvallis Community Gardens, but ours is so gorgeous, she's coming to rent one of the plots here. So I was going to give you an update. Most of the plots are taken, but we have a lot of activity in the community garden that you may not be aware of. For instance, I teach first and second year medical students basic gardening at Porter Park, and they come in as a community service and do the weeding for me. So they also help with planting and all of the various activities that need to be done, including composting like that. It is up to their exam schedule when they come in. So we sort of work around the year. Each student has 30 hours they have to put in the first 2 years. So that is one of the things that we're doing at Porter Park. We have garden meetings, training. We have, I put on a walk in the park tours open to the public, and I advertise. I hurt my leg last year, so I didn't do it last year, but it's back on this year. So we will have people coming in. I also teach. I brought a couple of flyers. This is one, if you want to pass it around, I don't know. That's going to be at the Senior Center. I teach free classes, always open to the public, organic. And that I'm sending around because there'll probably be about 100 people in that class. And of those people, a lot of them are interested in community gardens. So I'm trying to bring more people into the gardens. These are organic gardens. I don't teach anything else, and I don't spray. So all of the food that they have hopefully is the most nutritious for them. Just a point, everybody that I work with on the staff, Sierra, Jody, and some of the other maintenance guys and Jason are fabulous to me. We have a project coming up this year, 2 gardens being rented by Morgan Family Center, Candace Russo. She has a program, Hope Grows Here. She's recruiting cancer patients and master gardeners. I'm a master gardener and a retired farmer. And we will be one-on-one. 2 of the plots have been rented by the Moore family. And so we will have a master gardener there with cancer patient for the year, the rest of the year. It starts probably in May. We have outside the fence, we have a blueberry garden, soon to have an apple orchard and some native plants for bee pollination, which is for the public. They can come and pick when it's, hopefully when they're ripe as opposed to not. And we're going to be putting up some signs, the stanchions that are out by the library, so that we can put information about Porter Park being a community garden and being available to rent the plots. And what else do we do? I'm trying to bring in more master gardeners. As many people know, a lot of things are really revving up now. Pandemic is hopefully in the past, and master gardeners are flocking into extensions. So we have people in Lebanon that want to be or training for master gardeners. So I'm bringing them into the classes, and I'll be bringing them into the park to learn and to help other gardeners that are there. A lot of our gardeners have been gardening for 40 years, and some of them, in fact, one of the gals that just came in will be delivering her second child in April, but she wants to be gardening in June. Thinks she can do this. I hope she can. Oh, Rod?
Rod, you got
Oh,
a
thank you.
question?
I do. Just a comment, and that AARP grant that I've been looking into also highlights community gardens. And so they have quick return funding with a quick application. It's currently open. If there's to promote community gardens, to help build them, to help get more of the community members involved with them. They have a lot of money for that. So just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. Okay. I worked with the city, the Lebanon Community Gardens when they were putting in all the gardens. In fact, I worked with them for several years. We wrote was almost $100,000, which really helped the schools out. So I'll be talking to you, Rod. Thank you. I appreciate that. We also have the schools. Ralston students will be coming in for tours in the spring. Fire season in the fall, and it was just too smoky out there for people to be out there. I'm just looking through. I've put out, the city put these together. These are just cards advertising Porter Park and that you can rent them, the plots. And I put these out over around in the city in various buildings, chamber. I gave them to Rebecca at the chamber, and I think she's passing them out to everybody. So that's basically an update right now. It's cold. Weeds still grow in the cold. And as you probably know that. So the medical students throughout wherever their exams are, I'll be pulling them out on the weekends to get some more weeding done and get our compost going again. We're still bringing in more people. And I think that's pretty much the update that I wanted to give you. The reason that I wanted to come today was the vandalism that is occurring every year there. And we have people, we even have a 65, 70-year-old woman who's figured out how to get over the fence by putting pails down upside down. She climbs on one, puts the pail on the other side, climbs down, and then goes and takes any of the food that she's interested in. And usually we find one pail because she leaves the one pail on the other side. I know who it is. The police know who it is. And we have problems. We have other, young men or women that can hop the fence. It's 4 feet tall. It's a chain link fence, if you're not aware, and it is locked. But that doesn't stop people. I had a gal for a year and a half almost who was a school teacher for a private school that was bringing her students there, but she quit. She said they stole all the food, the children, and evidently they pulled all the plants in her plot. So with that said, I would like to have a taller fence installed, whether it's an addition to the chain link that's there. I'm not a fence person. I don't really know. I have deer fences on the farm. They stop the deer. If we had something taller, I think our little lady who is there all the time, I think that would stop her. And she must have a lot of people to feed because she takes a lot of vegetables and fruits out. But that is the request that I'm making, if you can look at putting a taller fence in so that we can have more of the food go to the people, the gardeners that are doing that. And I do have an area outside that I was looking at that we could put vegetables in for the public to have. Just, it'll be whatever we decide to plant. I also do a tomato fest in September. And there we often we put free vegetables on a table. We just mounded it up. And the people came in and took all of it. And I think that if they had free vegetables on the outside and knew that they could have them, that would be an extra plus for the public. The whole idea, my goal is to teach people how to grow food and to eat more nutritious food, less sugar.
So what I get is you would like the city to keep in mind maybe doing something at some point fence-wise to make it more secure. It's a shame that they're popping over that 4-foot fence, but when you start getting a taller fence, then it just becomes, it's a whole, it becomes unfriendly really fast. So
That's why I want to put the signage in with the stanchions so that they know what's going on. And also do the public tours, open, whatever the weekend is in May, for a public tour, come in. This is what they don't know that it's a community garden. They are not aware, many people aren't aware that for the reason for it being locked. But that's what a community garden does. And if Jason Williams isn't here, so I'll say it. If you want to add some more community gardens in the other parks, I'd be happy to help you with it.
So I'm not very familiar, I know where it's at, but I'm not very familiar with the community garden. How many plots do you have and how many are still not rented?
7 plots are not rented. And there's, depending upon how you look at it over, I think there's 55 plots altogether. And some of them are in ground. They're pie-shaped. This is a circular garden area. There's also grassy areas within the fenced area that could be used for vegetable or flower, for that matter, growth. But I'm going to say most of them are raised brick beds, and then we have 6 ADA beds, which if the person is in a wheelchair could move up the wheelchair and be able to work on both sides of those beds.
Okay.
It's $25 to rent for a year. It includes the water and the soil. And then I have for years gotten huge donations of seed. So I give free seed to pretty much everybody, all the students, all the gardeners, anybody that wants them, because I have boxes and boxes of seeds. So while it may look like it's more private, which it would be, if you were to look through the communities and look at community gardens, you would find tall fences most everywhere.
Yeah, I would bet you would. So, okay. So I think that's something that they're asking the city to keep in mind. That's something to keep in mind maybe for that grant. Signage sounds like a good place to start too. Just to try to get, you're not going to stop some of them, but that might stop some.
Yeah, you're not going to stop those athletes, but this one gal in particular, there's the police have been to her home. She lives right down by Safeway. And so she just walks down and takes whatever she wants. Okay. And I just, Jason wanted you to know what the issues were there when I was talking to him, and ask for, I guess, your blessing for a taller fence. Cameras aren't going to work because she will just walk in anyway. And so will anybody else that wants to come in. We've had somebody's been trying to get into the shed because they've chiseled most of the wood out, but they haven't been able to do that as yet.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Any comments from the committee?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Oh,
Yeah.
and you're all welcome to come to my classes. Thank you. You have a good day.
Okay. Okay. Any other? Whoa, I don't know why that was. Any other public comment? Okay, anything from the committee? Rod, you got anything? Jan, Dave?
I'm good, thank you.
You guys are good?
I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. We will adjourn at 2:51.